Hi everybody, I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about the rest surrender trust process, which it's only like a week till it kicks off with our intention setting session. So we're starting setting our intentions on the 21st, and then the actual content starts to drop on the new moon. So for anyone who doesn't know, I like to create my processes and run my processes and content, and even when I'm doing long-term sessions with clients over a prolonged period of time, I like things to be aligned with natural rhythms and natural cycles, as opposed to, Monday to Sunday, or the first of the month of the Julian calendar. I like to follow nature's rhythms way more, and I thought that it would be nice to just share a little bit about the rest surrender trust process in a video again, because I'll drop the original video from YouTube down in the comments when I'm done, because this has been about 6 months in the making, or in the percolating. Sure, I use that word then as well. In the percolating coffee addict for this process, because as I had completed some courses and some learning experiences in the summer, I was realizing the power of this rest piece for myself in kind of bringing a large chunk of the journey I'd been on until the last couple of months, and the new crazy times that have come from then. But the big chunk of journey that I've been on for 7 years, this rest piece felt like it was really the clarity of what rest meant was finally established and integrated, I think is the word I want, for me. And the other piece is the surrender and the trust were things that over the course of the 7 years had been really significant in my journey. And these are probably the 3 things that I teach the most, no matter what I'm teaching, how I'm teaching, who I'm teaching. I've had a client here today, and this is something that we have been discussing for a few months that he's been working with me. It's something that keeps coming up in our sessions. One or other of these 3 things come up, and as I'd finished this learning experience myself earlier on in this year, 2024, the rest piece really fit into place as to how that looks and what that looks like for crazy-assed, busy mums. And busy is not a word that I actually really identify with at all. But full-on jam-packed lives, juggling many balls, wearing many hats, doing many things. It's what most mums are doing at the end of the day. It's what I'd say a lot of humans are doing these days. Multitasking, overstretching themselves, being burned out, thinking there's something wrong with them physically or emotionally or mentally. And in a lot of cases, a lot of it is worsened, if not actually purely created, by being overworked, overstretched, burned out, and putting too much emphasis on the wrong things in our lives. So I'll touch briefly on rest, because I've talked about rest quite a lot this year for various reasons connected to this idea of slowing down, taking time for ourselves, being present in the moment and what that looks like and what that means. And I want to stress, when it comes to rest, I'm not talking about getting a good night's sleep. I'm a mum of 3. I have bed shared. I have breastfed till they were old enough to walk around. I'm a home educating mum. I have been, creating, be self-employed for 11 and a half years. I have 12 and a half years. I keep forgetting how old my middle daughter is. 12 and a half years I had, and that was a time intensive handmade Etsy shop. So it was the making of the products as well as the marketing and photographing and creating then all the stuff that is required or not required but becomes necessary, with invoicing and creating a website or having somewhere as a platform to sell on. And I did it all, and then I was trying to teach that as well, because I needed it to bring in some more than just the physical products did. And then I started holistic therapies in 2020, or just at the end of 2019, and that morphed into Indigo Sky Holistic in 2021, I think. And when I talk about rest, I'm not talking about getting a good night's sleep, because I've done all those things and I've been all those things, and I can tell you now that just to get it's just as simple as going and getting 8 hours sleep a night. Anyone who says that, they've probably not had babies. They've probably not had a teething baby, or a restless toddler, or a sick 9-year-old that they've had to deal with, or a angst-ridden teenager. And then I believe there's a whole another ball game I'm going to have as they start going off out with the friends late in the evening and stuff, and we'll get there eventually too. So rest. When I talk about rest in this process, I'm talking about learning how to rest in the moment, right here, right now. Take a moment to rest, and that we do that through sensory awareness. So we do that by bringing ourselves into the moment, by letting go of everything that is weighing us down, burdening us, stressing us out, scaring us, requiring, demanding of our attention. And we come into the moment. And I know, with all those hats on, that is always possible. I kind of wish I'd known it when the babies were tiny, because it would have been a nice habit to have had when they were really, really small. I know what it's like when you're super anxious, super worried about family members. I know what it's like to be in great financial stresses, to be able to come into that moment and release all of that fear and release all that anxiety for just a moment. We're not talking about forever. We're not talking about letting it go and pretending like it doesn't exist. We're not talking about spiritually bypassing any of it. We're talking about calming your nervous system here and now to get better clarity and gain a state of mind that enables you to go on into the fray with a calmer disposition, a clearer mind, and a brightened energy. And naturally that makes it easier to cope with. It makes it easier to cope with the argument between the siblings. It makes it easier to make the phone call to the bank manager. I don't know if I ever do that, but so that's the one that came into my head. It makes it easier to address a situation with a partner, a spouse, a business partner, a work colleague, a friend, anything, when we learn to do that. So they're like mini micro rests, if you like, and they can be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. damn it, if you can grab a nap for 2 hours, I highly recommend that too. And one of the things that we do is we'll talk about not feeling guilty for having a nap, because what I've learned for years now that I have been practicing napping, because that probably does go back to having babies, was, in fact, no, it actually goes back beyond that. It goes back to working night shifts and napping on my night shifts and then sleeping in the day because I work nights. And yeah, releasing the guilt of having a nap so that you don't feel bad for doing it, which helps you to not feel dreadful when you wake up, and consciously napping, taking time to have that rest and give your brain really feel the body rest. So when we talk about rest, we're talking about integrating very small pieces of rest throughout the day and growing and expanding that so that we're building a reserve, if you want, of energy through the day, through the week, through the month, through time, so that we've got a reserved energy bill. And assessing other parts of our lives where we maybe give too much of our time, energy and attention, like social media, like unnecessary pieces of work for people, or unnecessary chores for people, or where we give our energy to people who don't respect it, who don't really, they're really maybe out to gain something from us, not give to us. So that's the rest piece of this process. But I wanted to talk a little bit more today about the surrender piece, because again, people are, it's a word that's been wonkified. It's a word that's been turned into weakness that's really not. And when you look it up as a word, I'm just going to have a little quick look again, because I only looked it up last night, but it does have spiritual connotations to it. So, you know, I'm a spiritual mentor as well as an energy healer and as well as a holistic therapist. Spirituality, like that part of us that's not physical, is a really, really big thing that I feel it's required to be activated in people at this time. And I don't talk about it very much because spirituality, first of all, there's the whole religious side of things, which for anyone who doesn't know me, I've got a whole religious trauma story to tell that is like released and mostly healed now. But lots of people get very confused between religion and spirituality and think spirituality has to have something to do with God. And it's not. When I talk about spirituality, I'm talking about non-physical energy. And if people think that doesn't exist, well, do you use Wi-Fi? Do you use like a television or a radio? Do you believe that energy is transmitted from satellites or antenna in the sky to your TV, to your radio, to your mobile phone, to your telephone? Or do you think everything has a physical element to it? Because we all know nowadays that's not the case. Most of us have access to and are using a mobile phone and Wi-Fi, and to think that that's real, but spirituality isn't, it's nonsensical in my head. It's like, why would this be a thing that is something that actualizes, but a connection to life force energy isn't real? So yeah, for me, spirituality is like a huge thing that is a key part of what I integrate into everything, even when people don't realise that that's what I'm doing, even if people are here for a really practical thing. Because I'm spiritually connected, it means that I'm bringing some element of that into what I do. So this word surrender has these connections within Latin, French and Latin. about yielding and giving up. Now, when we think about giving up, usually when we think about surrender, we think about people surrendering in a battle, people giving up to the winning side, and see that as like a weakness. But the roots of the surrender are giving up like a worry or an anxiety or something that we feel like we can't control to a higher perception, force, being, dimension. So within like religious connotations, this would be about like giving up, surrendering our worries, putting our stresses, burdens, whatever, onto God, giving it to God. Now, growing up in Christianity, this was something that was said a lot. You know, you pray, and you give your burdens to God, and then you let him deal with it. Now, even within Christianity, where this is discussed, it's often acknowledged that it's really hard to give something to God to look after and then get on with your life. And that's why, like, this piece of the puzzle, surrender piece of the puzzle, to me is a really, really powerful thing. And it's something that I feel like I've been thrown in the deep end of for the last couple of months, because I've had to really surrender control of what I can't control, being evicted from my home. And then the knock-on effect that had on my like emotional and energetic state, my spiritual state, my connection to trusting in God or in source or in spirit to help me, has been tested to the hilt, I believe is the expression. It has been tested. And I don't mean like, you know, God tests us or the universe tests us. I mean, it's really a self-test. It's really like a test of my inner knowing and my inner process. So this giving, surrendering is about releasing the control that we have, or the control we wish we had, or like we're the ones who can fix this. I can fix this now. I'm the one who's got to fix it, and I'm the one who's in control. And it's surrendering is about letting it go. It's for me, it's been about being honest and open and informing people of the reality that not just myself, but lots and lots and lots of families and people and individuals are in at the moment in the crazy world that we find ourselves in. And about letting go of the dense energies that then burden us. So the fear, the worry, the shame, the guilt, the like, oh my God, the whole world is crumbling. Like, most of that is not true, like literally. It's interesting when I spoke to people about being evicted. So here in the UK, the letter that you get is called Section 21. And it's basically a termination of your contract with your landlord. It leaves you in uncertainty, because it means that she could send that off to court at any time, and then you've just got to wait for them to process it before they turn up and they say, get out. And it generates this uncertainty. And it's been really interesting as I've reflected on this, what other people believe it means. And for one, I've looked and been aware of like legalities and law structure for a while. It's kind of like a passive interest in my husband. And myself as a, you know, certain things that I've become very well aware of because of home educating, and very well aware of the acts and statutes and laws and stuff that are around education. Obviously I work in holistic health, so I was like, what can I and can I not say as a holistic health practitioner to keep myself safe within the law of how I share things. So, you know, there's disclaimers that you've got to put on there. so that people go and get an actual like medical professional's opinion. Medical professionals that I work with kind of probably wish that wasn't the case, but yeah, that's a whole other story. So that's one of the things that this whole experience has brought to me, is that this surrendering is letting go of the things that I can't control. So I can't control my landlady. I can't, if it does go to court, I can't control all of that. All I can ever control is how I react and respond to it, and where I put my trust that something will happen for the greatest good. And right from the start, when this occurred, I was like, this is because we're not supposed to be in this house anymore. And I was immediately happy to surrender the house, give up the house, go, okay, that could go back to the landlady. I'm done with living there anyway. I have been for a while. But we were going to make the best of it because, you know, the housing market is what it is at the moment, and rentals are what they are at the moment. So that piece on surrendering, giving up the human control, the that which we can't control, giving up the worry and the emotional burden of it, giving the emotional burden of it over to something, some higher aspect, something that knows more than the physical, logical, what we can remember, or the physical side of things, giving it over to something non-physical. And that can be intuition. For me, it's intuition. It's definitely a role of it. So it's actually about getting out of my head and getting out of the like physical reality and being like, what is possible, what can come from this, and what wisdom does the spiritual part of me, the soul, the thing that knows everything, that's connected into what knows what's coming, that knows what's coming, what can that bring to me and deliver to me, so that I can stay in that calm state, bring myself back into clarity and neutrality, out of stress, out of overwhelm, out of anxiety, to be present here. And that's the surrender aspect of it. It's not like giving up because you've lost. You've not lost anything. You're actually opening yourself up to gaining even more. You're opening up to like releasing just this physical, like what you know about from your singular this life experience, and giving up that to what the vast universe of knowledge that's out there, the dimensions of knowledge, the soul lifetimes of knowledge and wisdom and inspiration and ideas, and then opening up to the collective by surrendering the emotions that would have held me back from sharing the story of what I'm experiencing, and open myself up to a vast array of knowledge from others, from like others' experiences have been through the same, from others' experiences of people who have got out of those situations, for wisdom and experience. And that reassures me and gives me positivity and hope and expectation that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and things drop in through like other means of into awareness of reasons why things are happening from an energetics point of view, sort of like astrologically speaking, and that makes the whole thing easier to handle, cope with. So that is the surrender piece. And from that, when you've surrendered this big burden to a higher force, that's where the trust comes in, to know what that's like, And the trust element of this process that I'll be teaching is self-trust, because, so I talked with a client today, we're not taught to trust ourselves right from an early age. We're taught that only our parents know what's right and wrong, or religious leaders or teachers. We can't possibly, as little like 5, 6, 7-year-old people, boys and girls, we can't know what's right and wrong. We can't know we can't know what's right and wrong. We can't know what's good for us. We can't know what's bad for us. We just listen to them. And when we're in a situation that we don't like, or when we're given food that we don't like, or when people try and encourage us to learn in a way that doesn't suit us, then, we're made to feel wrong. We're made to feel like I can't trust that like inner knowing that I had that said I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't go there, or I shouldn't be with this person is right. And then when something bad happens, it destroys our trust in ourselves has been destroyed, but then it starts to destroy and eat away at our trust for other people. So, thinking from my own experiences of like being with people who then hurt me for varying degrees, being with people, being encouraged to be with them, or in places where I didn't feel comfortable, I didn't want to be, and having my ability to walk away from them taken away from me. In school, where there's teachers that are physically assaulting you, because back in those days, that's what we got, talking about the 1980s here. I couldn't just walk away from school. I was being sent into that situation by my mother every day. And, I don't know that my mum approved of corporal punishment. I was physically disciplined at home, but I'm not sure that she fully supported and agreed that the teachers should be doing it. And that's not a situation I could get out of. I was there every day. I had to go to the school every day, knowing that, and what I was actually being punished for, ridiculously, was my handwriting. Significantly, what I remember was my handwriting, because my handwriting wasn't good enough. Like, that's such a big deal when you're 6 or 7 years old, because that's all it was, 6 and 7. Like, that deserves physical punishment in school because you're not writing well enough, and the impact then that has on my ability even now to feel comfortable writing is quite significant. So they're just small pieces from my own experience of where my trust in other people was destroyed, teachers, parents, and then my trust in myself, that I couldn't trust myself because I was being made to go and be in that situation anyway. Couldn't trust myself to write well, couldn't trust myself to be good enough, which is a recurring story anyway. And that obviously that's a repeating pattern that goes on through most of our lives, so that we get to older, like teenage 20s, and we still don't know how to trust ourselves. So this process that I'm creating, this rest, surrender, trust process, begins to teach us as adults how to trust ourselves, trusting our intuition, trusting our inner voice, trusting our inner knowing, trusting that we can look after ourselves and we can nurture ourselves. But it starts with calming our nervous system, learning how to surrender, learning how to stop trying to be in control of absolutely every situation all the time, and find some sort of peace and harmony within ourselves, and then develop trust. Just a little bit on the rest, surrender, trust process. Please do sign up below. There's like a 5-month payment plan and a 10-month payment plan, as well as paying in full. And there is some content there already. And looking forward, there's a Telegram channel so we can chat and communicate in between sessions as well. You can drop questions in that I'll answer during the sessions that will be, I think, weekly on Zoom. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in there. And yeah, let me know what you think. Bye.